Wardrobe for the Bass Tour Anglers podcast is provided by Koppel Outfitters. Go have an adventure. Visit them online at www.koppeloutfitters.com and on social media at Koppel Outfitters.
It's just been dark at night.
Hello, everybody. Our guest today is the 2019 BASS Central Opens Angler of the Year. He's fishing his second season on the BASS Elite Series. He's got 18 times in the money finishes in 23 Bassmaster events, which is pretty amazing. 18 money finishes out of 23 events. That's pretty good. He's 14th overall this season after 3 rounds. He's a qualifier for the Major League Fishing Forest Wood Cup in 2018. He creates a ton of content on his YouTube channel, Wes Logan Fishing. Wes, welcome to the show. Thanks for being with us today.
Hey, buddy. I appreciate you having me.
I know you got some weather back there, so we'll try to get this in before you have to go downstairs.
We'll see how it goes. I hope it don't hit in the middle of this.
Yeah. So you're one of the newest anglers to qualify for the Elite Series. You have done it. How can I say this delicately? You've done it the new way, which is the hard way. And tell us how all that came about.
Yeah, I mean, when I went to fish the Opens that year that I qualified, which was not last year, it was 2 years ago, I really didn't fish them with the thoughts of actually qualifying for the Elites, because what actually happened was Bass brought back the win and you're in. If you fish all of them, if you win one of them, you get to go to the Classic. That's really what got my interest in fishing them again, because they had went away with that and then they brought it back. And that's really why I started to fish them that year. And, I started the first tournament there at Toledo Bend. I had never been there. I cut a check. I was happy with what I did. And then the next tournament was here by the house at Smith Lake, and I got a top 10. And it still hadn't registered to me that, like, hey, I might can qualify for the Elite Series. But the third tournament, when we got up to La Crosse, Wisconsin on the Mississippi River, I was leading after day one, and I got my phone blew up with text about making the Elites, and I was second or third in the points and blah, blah. That's when it all kind of really started setting in, and I was like, I probably need to catch them the rest of the year and might see what we can do with this, try and make it to the Elites and stuff. And fortunately, I finished I think third in that event, and then went on to Grand at the last one and finished fifth. So, I mean, I had a really good run, but the crazy thing about that whole season I had that good of a season, and it was still up in the air until the last day of the last tournament to whether if I knew I was going to make it or not, where you can kind of look back on other years of the Opens and guys that's had that good of a run through the year kind of pull themselves away. And we had 5 or 6 guys that were just catching them every day. And it was kind of nerve wracking all the way up till the end once I realized that I might be able to make it.
Yeah. I was going to say that was an incredible run. You had a third on the Mississippi River. You had a 10th at Smith Lake, 5th at Grand, and then I think a 30th or something like that at Toledo Bend. That's a good series, yeah. But like you said, you didn't know till the last day whether you were going to be in. That Open qualifying for the Elites is the toughest qualification there is in the sport, I think.
I really think so, and not taking anything away from any of the other circuits or anything, but the guys that when you go to fish and Open, the what makes it so hard about those are you've got, let's say, somebody that was fishing professionally 10 years ago that's trying to get back into it, that has all the experience on all these lakes across the country. Well, then let's say you got 50 of those guys, and then you might have 100 locals that fish that lake every week. I mean, and it's just it's always hard to finish in the top in every one of them. I feel like it's, you pull up to one and you finish in the top 50 or 75, that's kind of average, because that's the same guys that are traveling around all the time, going to different places. But when you constantly have to compete against 100, 110 locals that are grew up on this body of water, it gets challenging, because I mean, they could have been practicing there for 3 weeks and you show up with 2 or 3 days of practice. It just makes it that more challenging. But when you're able to do it and be successful at it, it just makes it that much more rewarding also.
You've got a really impressive career both on the Major League Fishing side and the BASS fishing side. Was it always the plan to try to qualify for the top tours? Is that kind of where you were moving towards all along? And maybe it happened a little faster than you expected?
Yeah, I mean, that's a really good way of putting it. It happened a lot faster than I expected it. Like the year I decided to fish more regional type stuff, and when I started fishing them, they were called the Costa Series, that is now known as the Toyota Series. That was the first tournament trail that I kind of jumped into. I actually fished the Costas and the Opens in the same year, but that was when I had done kind of good, locally around the house and a few BFLs and team tournaments and stuff. So I was like, I'm going to branch out a little bit and just see how I do, get my feet wet in some regional tournaments. If I can make it, that's great. If I don't, I kind of know where I stand and stuff like that. And, I did decent in the Opens. I think I finished like in the top 12 in the points in that year. And then I finished in I think I finished 6th or 7th in the Costa points that year. And I didn't even realize when the Costa season was over that I had per se qualified to fish what was then called the FLW Tour. And I actually had a good buddy of mine call me after the Open tournament because I was kind of beat up because I knew what the Open point situation was. Like I saw that, and I didn't even realize the FLW point situation. And my buddy actually called me. He's like, "Were you gonna go fish the tour?" And I was like, "I have no idea what you're talking about." And then, I kind of got the ball rolling with that. And that was in 2017. And then 2018, I fished the tour, qualified for the Forestwood Cup at the time. I actually was leading it going into the last day and had a really, really bad last day and finished 7th, I think. But just to have the opportunity that young to be able to lead a tournament like that, of that caliber, with that much money on the line, it kind of, I'm not going to say that I didn't want to win, but I'm kind of glad that it worked out the way it did, because I don't think I was near mature enough to have won that tournament and had all that comes with winning that tournament. I just don't know that I would have handled it that well at that age and not having that much experience around the whole industry.
Absolutely. That's a great point. Looking for a global action camera that gives you that authentic point of view perspective? Well, look no further. Tactacam Fisheye has you covered at a price the other guys can't touch. Tactacam Fisheye, because that fish of a lifetime happens once in a lifetime. We're talking to Wes Logan. He is the 2019 BASS Central Opens Angler of the Year, fishing his second year on the Elite Series. Wes, 2020 was your first year in the Elite Series. Tough year to be a rookie. Tough year to be doing anything, man.
Yeah,
2020. Wow. Talk about some of your takeaways from that rookie experience on the Elite Series. I mean, first of all, the fact that they were able to fish at all last year was great. But man, that last stretch in the fall where everything was condensed into week to week, that had to take its toll.
It did. It got tough right there at the end of the season, like you said. But, hats off to BASS for actually getting our whole tournament schedule done with, even though they had to cram it in. The fact that we were able to do it was a good thing in itself. It was a little bit worse because I decided to fish the Opens again, and there was like some Opens pushed in between that 1 week we were going to have off in a certain stretch. But, it is what it is. It's over now. But, as a year in the whole, I don't know. I had a good year. I thought I made good decisions. I didn't really get nervous about being a rookie or anything like that from a fishing standpoint. I caught a bunch of bad breaks last year, and I think I missed the Classic I know I missed it by 2 places and like 3 points. That's the way it happened. But I literally, and I hate to be this guy, but I literally lost a fish in every single tournament that would have easily gotten me in. Some tournaments were multiple fish. Like I zeroed the first day at Santee Cooper in one of those fall tournaments and had 8 bites. I hooked 8 fish that day and never landed a one of them. Like just bad luck like that, but I don't know. It is what it is. You can't really hang your head over it because I'm 26 years old and I'm getting to fish the Bassmaster Elite Series. I've got great sponsors to be in the position I'm in, getting to fish over there with bass. I'm really blessed, but I'm having a lot better year this year up until this point as far as my hooking and landing ratio. So I hope it continues.
In doing research for this interview, and I've watched a lot of your content on YouTube. It's very interesting. It's compelling. It's good stuff. Love your camera, man. She does a great job.
Yeah. That's like 100% of everything I got is the camera operator for sure.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I kept thinking to myself, this guy reminds me of a young Gerald Swindle. This guy he's got Gerald's kind of swagger. I don't know. He just reminds me of, because I covered Gerald when Gerald was about your age, back
Right.
in the early 2000s. Then I uncovered this Bassmaster Bros series article that says that you and Gerald have a connection. He's kind of served as a mentor for you. What has that been like? How's he been able to help you?
Yeah, Gerald's a well-known name in the sport, in the industry, and really not even to do with fishing, just anywhere you go in the country. I mean, most of the time, if you mention Gerald's name, they're going to know of something funny he did on YouTube or his Facebook or something like that. But, he's been around a long time. He knows all the ins and outs. He knows, how this works and how that works. So for him to be able to share that with me, it was a really good experience. We actually went deer hunting a few times last year, and just learning a few life lessons from him, knowing how to act here, knowing how to act there. It really means a lot. I've learned a lot from him, fishing wise, life wise, and just, I really appreciate it.
Oh, there's a lot of wagons you can hitch yourself behind. I would say he's one of the great ones, because he certainly has been down a lot of those roads that you're talking about there. There's no end to talented anglers in the elites. I tell you, when I watch the Opens and even the Toyota Series events, those are brutal events. 250 anglers, every one of them a hammer in their own way. And so we know there's lots of talented anglers out there. The key to surviving on tour, though, is the business side. Talk about how that's been for you, because you seem like you've got some strong roots now. How has that process been for you?
Yeah, the main thing I try to do from a business standpoint is, we're professional bass fishermen, but in reality, we're salesmen, and we work for these companies that support us. So I had a few mentors, per se, that would teach me that, like Gerald taught me a couple things. One angler that I'm really, really close to that lives, not really far from me, is Scott Canterbury. And he's been doing this a long time. And me and him really sat down when I got serious about it. And he told me how he went about it when he was a rookie, and the things he would change or would have done different. So I kind of tried to take those in as far as approaching companies that I really wanted to work with. And the main thing I tried to do was, I didn't just go out and try and get a bunch of random companies to give me as much money as possible. I went to the companies that I knew that I could support, that I would use their product, that I've used my whole fishing career, so that when I got in a situation where I had to promote them or try and sell stuff, that it would be genuine. That's the main thing that I've always tried to do. In just my 3 years of fishing professionally, is I don't ever want to have to lie about using something or anything like that. I always try and be genuine, as truthful as possible. And, the companies see that. So anybody that's looking for advice on the business side of the fishing, I would just say, be loyal to who you're with, work as hard as you can for them. And, they're going to give back what you give them. That's basically what I've learned just in my short time doing this.
Very good. Does your global action camera give you the option to change lenses? Mine does. Tactacam's Fisheye camera allows me to modify my viewing angles so I can film an extra wide or mini zoom. Tactacam Fisheye, because that fish of a lifetime happens once in a lifetime. Talking to Wes Logan, he is currently sitting at 14th place after 3 rounds of the BASS Elite Series for 2021. It's a good place to be, by the way.
For sure. It's better than being in the bottom 14 with a hole to dig out of. That's for sure.
Yeah. I mean, your first 3 events, though, have been, real solid performances. Probably not what you want, but a lot better than what a lot of other guys are doing.
No, for sure. And you say that, I think I finished 15th or 16th at St. John's. I finished 16th at Pickwick this last week. I kind of had a little, a hiccup at Knoxville, but the Knoxville tournament was going to be up in the air for everybody with how tough the fishing was. And, I had one really good bite that I lost the second day that, if I catch that, I'm literally in the top 20 and I'm in the top, 7 or 8 in the points. But, even with those 2 top 20s, I'm still sitting very, very well. Go with we have 6 events left. A lot can happen. I could bomb the rest of the year and it not even matter. But I'm hoping that's not going to happen. But yeah, I'm off to a lot better start than I was last year. So it's good to not have such a deep hole dug this early in the season.
Yeah, professional bass fishing has changed so much. Yes, you have to catch fish, but there are so many different ways now for people to create content and things like that, and to help companies out. I mean, podcast, there you go. Who'd have thought?
We're on one right now.
Exactly. But you do create a lot of YouTube content on your channel, Wes Logan Fishing. How does your content help you with the business side of fishing? Because I know that's important to sponsors.
Yeah, the main thing with making content and putting it on your Facebook and Instagram and any social media, YouTube, is it gives you another platform to be able to show these companies that you can reach a different group of people. As many people as you can reach with any platform is going to be beneficial to these companies in our industry. So with having this extra content with the YouTube channel and all that, it just gives you another opportunity to get more stuff out there, to promote more stuff, to show these guys that, hey, this is what I was using in this tournament. This is what I'm going to be using. This is how I set this up. I mean, just like what we're doing here, like it just gives you another opportunity to show the fans or show the customers how you use certain products. And in reality, that's what this whole industry is. It's a business. The whole thing's that, yes, we're fishermen. We go and catch bass during the tournament, but those couple of tournament days don't even compare to the work and stuff that we do as far as the whole industry goes.
Now, I've noticed that your boat is set up with these lime green cylinder shaped.
They're hard. They're good looking and they're hard to miss.
Tactacam fisheye cameras. Yeah. So now, I mean, obviously there are other choices out there. Why Tactacam?
Yeah, there's a bunch of different, however you point of view cameras, however you want to go about talking about them. And I've used a bunch of those cameras, but luckily this year I partnered with Tactacam Fisheye, and actually not even on a fishing standpoint, Tactacam just by themselves, I actually use some of their cell cameras to deer hunt with. So, I mean, anything to do with Tactacam, I'm really involved with already. But with this new fisheye camera, they've got it set up as simple as possible for the fishermen. So really, literally all you've got to do is there's 3 different modes on your camera, and I'll go into it here in a minute, but just a quick overview. They have 3 different modes. You literally click the on button, select your mode, and click record, and it's recording. I mean, that's pretty much how simple they've made it for a fisherman's camera. And that's basically all this camera is made for, is fishing. I mean, given the name Tactacam Fisheye. But that's one of the main reasons that I'm glad I'm with this company, is how simple they've made it. Because when you're out there fishing, you're not going to want to be worried about clicking a bunch of buttons, going through a bunch of screens to get your camera started recording. You're going to be wanting to start to go fishing. And with it being that simple that all you got to do is hit 1 or 2 buttons and it's on and going, that's pretty incredible that they've come up with that.
Yeah, we're seeing more and more of these Tactacams on pro boats this year. I mean, as I watch various content, I watch a lot of YouTube content. Yeah. For an old guy, I watch a lot. But the more I watch, the more I see these green cameras on all these boats. Are pros talking, or what's going on out there?
Yeah, I think the word's kind of getting out. For the longest time, there was only 1 or 2 companies that everybody's going to run this camera. This is the camera you have to run, or your videos are not going to be very good. Well, I think we've gotten away from that, and the talk's kind of getting out that these fisheye cameras really are the real deal. I think that's a lot to do with it. And the next thing is when these pros are running these cameras, and we're at a tournament weigh-in and there's fans walking around on the dock, and they start seeing that we're running these cameras. I mean, that's like an instant. They're looking these cameras up, they're seeing what the deal is, because they know that we're not going to run something that doesn't work. So that's basically what it boils down to. That's why I try and keep as many of them on my boat as I can, and I have them running all the time. And that's the main thing, is just like I said earlier, just their ease of use. I think that's getting out to all these anglers, because when we're out there fishing, especially in our Elite Series tournaments, I mean, that's our job, that's our living. We have to perform when we need to, and just having that ease of mind that our camera's working to the best of its ability is a big deal.
And talk about your editing skills, because I mean, I saw you laugh there, but I mean, that's the other side of this stuff. Once you record a bunch of stuff, now you got to put it into something that is reasonable to watch. Do you do your own editing? Has that been something tough to learn? How do you put it all together? And what do you find?
Me and my girlfriend have a little system we do. She does the majority of the I call it the fancy editing. What we'll do is, our little system is, after a tournament, like we just got back from Pickwick Monday night. We drove home Monday night. So we got home Tuesday, got up Tuesday. And what I did is I got all my cards out of the cameras, out of my boat. And I went through all the fish catches and got the fish catches onto, we use iMovie on a MacBook Pro. and I get all those clips. I run a camera at the dash on the windshield, and I run a camera at the back. So I run two. So what I'll do is I'll get a fish catch from the front camera and the same fish catch from the back camera, the exact same clip from two different cameras, and I'll put them side by side all the way through it. And I'll do that for day 1, day 2, day 3, however many days I fish. And then she'll come in there after I do my little recap at my boat garage about how I caught them, the baits I caught them on. I'll get all of that put onto the iMovie for her, and then she'll put everything together as far as audio, merging the clips, putting some music in it, getting the weigh-in footage. She'll do all that. And then, so it's been working as a pretty good team. She does most of the hard work, but I kind of get it started, and it's been working so far for the last 2 years.
Well, your in-screen insert where you're sitting there giving commentary on what's going on is also very good. I mean, that's just, to me, is the kind of thing that puts it all together. You love to hear what an angler's thinking when it's all happening,
Right, for sure. And then I don't know how in the world she did that. Like, if I had to do it, I might could figure it out in a day or two, but the fact that she was able to do that just makes it that much more entertaining, because the main thing, I'm not doing the YouTube channel. I'm never going to get 6 million subscribers or anything crazy like that. I just want people that follow me and know how I like to fish or how I caught them in this certain tournament. I want them to be able to go see what my thought process was in practice and into the tournament and each day, and how I reacted to this and how I reacted to that. And they can see that and know how, everything went down. And because not everybody's going to be a professional bass fisherman in their life. And the fact that I can show people how it is and all the stuff you have to go through is just pretty remarkable that we're in that time in the industry.
And, you mentioned followers. The person that follows your channel is a unique follower, because you don't follow a fishing guy for no reason. You follow a fishing guy because you are into it. And so those are real followers, as opposed to, you talk about the millions, that others might have. That's a pretty unique group that you got there. And I think it would be especially valuable to companies that are looking to sponsor and so on.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, that was another reason why I wanted to start the channel. Like I said earlier, just another platform to be able to promote, the baits that I use, the rods that I use, the lines that I use, the reels, etc. Because I really do use those things. I mean, that's what that's how I make my living. I trust my livelihood, my being able to pay for my truck, being able to pay for house payments, being able to pay phone bills. That's the equipment that I use day in and day out, and that I trust to do all of that. So, I mean, you trust your truck to get you to work every day to pay your bills. I mean, that's how I am with my rod and reel and my line. The stuff that I use is what I have all my trust in. And I feel like if I can trust it being at the top professional Bassmaster Elite Series, that you can trust it on your weekend tournament. That's how sincere I am with the stuff that I use.
Well, how does the rest of the year set up for Wes Logan? You've got obviously 6 more Elite Series events. Anything in between that, and how do these lakes set up for you? Anything you're looking forward to, especially?
We leave. I've got 5 or 6 days here at the house. I'm going to do a little. I do a little bit of turkey hunting. I was able to go when I got home from Pickwick the other day, and on our off weeks, but when we're at home, normally we've got a day or two that we kind of got some slow stuff going on. But other than that, we're already preparing for the next tournament. Or like when I leave for the Sabine, I won't be home for 3 weeks, because we've got the Sabine River tournament, and then we just have 4 days in between, and then we start the Lake Fork practice. So it's kind of irrelevant to drive all the way to Texas and drive all the way back home, then drive all the way back out there. So I've got to prepare to be gone for 3 weeks. And I mean, you just don't prepare to be gone that long in a day or two. It's thundering like really loud outside, but as far as the rest of the year goes, I think the Sabine's going to set up good for the way I like to fish. I've never been there, and it gets a little bit of a bad rap for having a bunch of small fish. I think you catch a lot. I just don't think there's a bunch of numbers of bigger fish, but I kind of like that kind of tournament, because let's say you've got a grinder and you're catching 7 to 9 pounds. Well, then you catch a random 5-pounder, and that'll jump you way up in the standings. The next tournament's going to be an absolute slugfest, obviously at Lake Fork. That'll be a fun one for everybody to watch. Then we're coming back home to, I call it home. It's Neely Henry. I live probably 25 minutes from it. It's where the lake I grew up on. It's my home lake. It's kind of going through a weird change right now, so I don't know that I'll have that much of an advantage over everybody. We'll leave there, go to Gunnersville, where I was almost able to win my first elite last year. And then after that, we're going up north where smallmouth aren't my forte, but, you know, I really enjoy fishing for them. I just don't really enjoy fishing tournaments for them because you have to catch such big ones. Like you can be catching 3 and 4 pound or 3.5 pounders, and you're going to finish in the 80s. And you got to catch 4 to 4.5 pounders to finish in the 20s. Like that's how fun, that's how many smallmouth you catch and how, you know, fragile it can be if you're catching 3.5s instead of 4s. So, but I am looking forward to it. It is fun up there.
Well, we're looking forward to watching you the rest of the season, Wes. Best of luck to you, and we'll be in touch. We'll talk to you again real soon. Congratulations on a good start this year, and we'll talk to you again soon.
I appreciate it, and thank you for having me.
All right. Wardrobe for the Bass Tour Anglers podcast is provided by Koppel Outfitters. Go have an adventure. Visit them online at www.koppeloutfitters.com and on social media at Koppel Outfitters.